Have you ever felt like you spent your whole life taking care of everyone else and forgot to take care of yourself? Because that's exactly what happened to me. And I only realized it when my husband was no longer here. For more than 4 decades, my life revolved around my family. I was always there, managing the house, supporting the kids, holding everything together. And he, my life partner, was the center of it all. But when he passed, suddenly the house went quiet. And in that silence, I felt completely lost. I no longer knew what I liked, or who I was beyond the roles I had played all my life. Until one day, while going through an old drawer, I found the sheet music for Claire de Lune, and something inside me stirred. It was as if the young girl who once dreamed of becoming a pianist had been waiting for me all along. And for the first time in many years, I listened to myself. I decided it was time to reconnect with the woman I had left behind. At first, I doubted myself. Honestly, for a moment, that piece of music filled me with hope. But then came the shame. Really, Margaret? At 67, thinking about getting back into music? That's something for young people. Why start something new now? It doesn't make sense. That time has passed. Those thoughts took over. I sabotaged myself. I put the sheet music away, closed the drawer, and tried to carry on with my days. But it kept echoing inside me, like a voice I couldn't ignore, begging to be heard. And I pretended not to listen. It took me weeks to admit it. I was afraid. I was afraid of looking ridiculous. Afraid of starting and failing. Afraid of getting my hopes up again, only to be disappointed. But the biggest fear was living the rest of my life without even trying. Until one quiet Sunday morning, I walked into a music store. I wasn't planning to buy anything. I just wanted to see, to press the keys, and remember how it used to feel. And there, sitting at a digital piano, my hands trembling, my fingers started to find their way again. Just a few simple chords, but I cried like I had just reunited with a part of myself I thought was gone forever. That same week, I bought a small instrument. Nothing fancy, just a simple keyboard that fit on my kitchen table. And every afternoon after coffee, I'd play. My fingers were stiff, my memory rusty, but my heart felt light. It was like, for the first time, I was choosing myself. But it wasn't easy. Some days I felt excited, other days completely defeated. My right hand would tremble. My left hand would forget what to do. Sometimes I'd miss the same note 10 times in a row, and it crushed me. I'd stare at the keys in frustration, as if they were the ones to blame for reminding me of everything I had lost. The dexterity, the memory, even the belief that I was still capable. One day I turned it all off. I slammed the cover down, shoved the keyboard into the corner of the room, and said out loud, "That's it. This isn't for me. I'm too old for this." And this time, I didn't just stop. I listed the piano on a secondhand website and sold it. When the young man came to pick it up, I packed it up with this strange mix of relief and shame. And I told myself it was the right decision. That music belonged to another life. But in the days that followed, something gnawed at me. It wasn't regret about quitting. It was the pain of abandoning myself. Again. It felt like I was repeating the same story I'd lived so many times before, putting myself last. And then I found the letter, folded, yellowed with age, tucked inside an old music notebook I had almost thrown away. I stared at that letter for days, in silence. I couldn't even bring myself to touch it, but something inside me was already waking up. The handwriting was barely legible, those scribbles only my beloved George could make, and I'd recognize them with my eyes closed. The letter wasn't long. It simply said, "If one day you find yourself playing again, it means you've rediscovered the part of you I always admired." I read and reread that sentence as if he were standing right there, leaning against the doorframe, smiling at me with that calm look of his. My heart raced. It was as if he somehow knew all those years ago that I'd lose myself, and he had left me a reminder that it wasn't too late to find my way back. That same week, without overthinking it, I bought a better keyboard. But this time, I didn't leave it in the living room. I put it in the bedroom, our space, where George still lives, in a way only I can feel. And every time my fingers touch those keys, I swear he hears it, as if he's saying without words, "There you are. You came back to yourself." One day, without any plan, one of my granddaughters asked to hear me play. She walked into the room with those curious little eyes and said, "Grandma, do you really know how to play the piano?" I smiled, But inside, I froze. I didn't feel ready. I didn't think I was good enough. I still made mistakes. I still forgot things. But even so, I said, "Come sit beside me." And I let myself play, trembling, heart pounding. And when I finished, she stayed silent for a moment, then whispered, "That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." That simple compliment coming from her, someone who didn't know my past, my pain, or my failures. It unlocked something deep inside me. For the first time, I felt whole, not because I played perfectly, but because I had the courage to show up exactly as I was. That's when I finally understood. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone, not to him, not to my children, not even to myself. I just needed to keep going. After that day, something inside me settled. It wasn't a loud transformation, not the kind people notice right away. It was quiet, subtle. I started waking up feeling lighter, looking in the mirror with more kindness. I began going for walks with music in my ears, baking cakes just for myself, wearing perfume on ordinary days. I rediscovered the joy of simply existing, without pressure, without weight. And the piano? It remained my afternoon companion, but now without expectation. I played at family birthdays, made up silly songs with my granddaughters, even recorded videos no one will ever see. Because the most beautiful lesson of all was understanding this. You don't need applause to keep going. The Margaret who had been forgotten for decades, she came back. And she has no plans of leaving again. If you had asked me 3 years ago whether I had the strength to start over, I would have said no. But grief has a strange way of revealing hidden paths. And loneliness, when you sit with it, can help you hear your own voice again. Today, at 70, I no longer define myself as a widow, a mother, or a homemaker. I'm the woman who found her way back to music, and that is everything. If there's something inside you that still pulses, even if it's barely a whisper, don't ignore it. That might be exactly where life is trying to call you back. Because sometimes you don't need to start over. You just need to pick up from where you left off. And you? Have you ever felt this way? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your story.